Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Marvelous Mondays. Thank you, Kettle One, another round, another rally, and Portland Cocktail Week for having us again. My name is Fanny Chu. I am the head bartender at a transportive tropical bar in Brooklyn. And this is my co host, Amy Ward. What's good in Chicago, Amy?
You know, what's good is to be back here for another Marvelous Monday, Fanny. And I am so excited. We are stoked to have Cari Hah here with us today.
Hello, hello.
Hailing from Los Angeles, California, Cari is an almost 20-year veteran of our Marvelous industry. She is a Hello Kitty enthusiast and an avid lover of Kit Kats. Me too, Cari. Before venturing into hospitality, she was in finance, so numbers are her original happy place. Cari is equally passionate about creating joy for her guests and making money for her bar. I cannot wait to nerd out with you, Cari. So thank you so much for joining us today. And why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much for that wonderful intro. Yes, it is very true. I am an avid Hello Kitty fan. I'm wearing Hello Kitty clothing. And yes, I do love Kit Kats, but who does not? People who don't like life.
They gotta be frozen though, you know?
Yes.
I'll take them frozen or not frozen. It doesn't really matter, but I like every flavor. I love those Japanese Kit Kats, the Jap Cats. The Kit Kats are also really good because they're made with Cadbury chocolate and not Nestle, but any kind, I'm a fan. Yeah, it's been a wild ride for the past few months, and living in this Corona world and operating a bar in it is one of those things that's quite a challenge. So I wanted to do a little talk about, well, originally, Lindsay came to me about batching because I do have a lot of experience with large scale event batching and doing things. I was a Tales of the Cap apprentice, and I do a lot of events at my bar, like very, very big events. So batching is sort of one of those things that I have come to become very good at. I know a lot of people do it, but I have found that a lot of people do it incorrectly. And even though I know bartenders that have wonderful single serve cocktails, their batches don't ever taste quite as good. So I kind of took that and ran with it because now we're doing bars in this Corona world, and a lot of people are doing to go cocktails. And in order to do to go cocktails, it makes a lot of sense to batch those cocktails and then do the to go part of it. So I wanted to talk about both. I'm going to start off talking about the state of LA because that's where I am and that's where my bar is. Full disclosure, I was recently let go from my bar as the bar manager because for various reasons, but mostly because, financial situation and Corona. So I am not immune. Nobody is. In this state, there's not really a thing as job security. So we do the best that we can and we're all in it together. So I'm where a lot of you are. But before I was let go, I did set up a whole to go program. So that's what I'll be talking about. We are in LA currently allowed to, if you have an outdoor dining space, do dine in, but nobody's allowed to sit indoors. You are allowed to do dine in with alcohol, cocktails, wine, beer, only if you are serving substantial food items with those cocktails and wine and beer. No longer are you allowed to throw in a bag of chips with a cocktail and call that a food item. They are cracking down, they are finding bars. So they're counting substantial food items as actual meals. A bowl of soup does not count. A little sandwich does not count. Chips, fries, those things do not count. It actually has to be a meal. So, the state is kind of cracking down on that sort of thing. So bars that do not offer food, they are not allowed to be open at all for takeaway or anything. If you are a restaurant that happens to have a bar and you are doing to-go food, you are allowed to do takeout cocktails, and are also allowed to do bottles. So full bottles that are unopened, you can sell as a bottle shop as well. So luckily, my bar had a 90% patio basically. So it's basically all outdoor. So we are still operating dine in with cocktails as well as to go takeaway cocktails and food. So why would you do a to-go cocktail program? It seems like a lot of trouble. I get it. It is a lot of work. But right now, we really want to encourage people to stay the F at home and stay away to kind of like curtail the spread of this vicious virus. So it is nice to give people the opportunity to have your hospitality in their house. So doing a takeout program is a way to extend that hospitality, like you would do if you were normally operating, because I know that all of us are really passionate about giving our guests an experience. And since they can't have it at your bar in front of you, doing the to-go program is a way to do that. Also, a way to move your inventory that you've been sitting on during quarantine, a way to make some money for your bar, and just kind of like stay alive, because that's the name of the game right now, is stay alive, thrive if you can, but definitely try and stay alive.
It's like the survival of the fittest.
Exactly,
Yeah.
while staying safe. So a to-go program is a really good idea. There are things to consider that I think maybe people think it's not, or may not think about. Let's start with labor structure for your to-go program. So, for instance, do you want to have one prep person who does all of the batching and then does all of the bagging or bottling of your cocktails and call it a day? And then all that you would have to have is like a person who answers the phone to pull it out of the fridge and have it that way? Or do you actually want a bartender on duty who, even though the cocktail is batched and prepped in the fridge, the bartender is there to actually grab that cocktail and do the packaging and then give it to the person who ultimately took the order over the phone and will hand it to the guest? Do you need a bar back, to be there while the person is doing the prepping, or is it just a one person job? So all of these things are things to think about, and that's what, as a bar manager, you have to talk with your owner to figure out what is the best option. Because if you don't have like a support person behind the person who's doing all the prep, those person's hours are going to be very long, and they might not be able to collect unemployment that they would get as a supplement to the hourly that they're doing while they're doing the bottling and prepping, and nobody may not want to do that. So it's kind of like puzzling together a way for your people to still collect supplemental unemployment while they're still doing a few hours at the bar doing the batching and the to go program. um, Another thing to consider is what kind of cocktails do you want to do for the to go program. Styles of cocktails, I think, are very important. I think that for a to go program, you definitely, as a cocktail bar, want to do cocktails that are special to your bar. You could do old fashioned and a martini and a Manhattan like rote, but why would you do that when people could make that pretty easily at home themselves? Um, what you want to do is let them take your bar home, because it's pretty easy for people these days to walk into Bevmo, grab a bottle of bitters, a bottle of sweet vermouth, and some sort of whiskey, and then make their own Manhattans at home, right? It's cheaper, it's better. Why, bother to pick up a cocktail? It's, another trip out of your house. But if it's something that they can't do at home, that they would only be able to get at your bar, then it's kind of an incentive for them to go out and order that takeout cocktail, because they miss you, they miss your cocktails, they miss your bar, and they want that vibe at home. So, keep in mind that. But that being said, it is better to do your style of cocktails, but kind of simpler ones. Not too many crazy ingredients, not too many homemade stuff that could go bad in the batch. But, the simpler the better, but definitely something, that speaks to your bar and the style of cocktails that you normally do. So going from, the whys and the styles, now I'd like to talk a little bit about batching. So just general batching rules. A lot of people seem to think that a batching rule is you take a single serve, and your normal, like if you have 4 ingredients and you have this and this many ounces of each of those ingredients, and then you want 50 people or 50 servings of that, you take all those things and multiply it by 50, and there's your boom, your batch. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, when you scale up, a lot of things don't taste the same. So just multiplying everything by 50 and then mixing it all together and calling it a day is not good enough. You're going to get an unbalanced batch. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's just how it goes. As things settle in batches, they tend to turn and flavor turns. So, like when we do a single serving of a cocktail, let's say you have Ketel One and then a modifier, a little bit of sweetener, and a citrus and bitters in this cocktail. The way that you would build it as a single serving, if you're making it for somebody in front of you, is you start with like the cheapest ingredients first, right? That way, if you mess up a speck or if you over pour, your juice, you can just toss it and you're not wasting any of this precious Ketel One, right? In a batch, we do the opposite thing. Let's say you're, same cocktail, but you're doing, 50 portions of it in one batch. You would start with your kettle, you start with your base spirit, and then you go into like your liqueur modifier, and then you go into your sweetener, and then the very last things you add are juice and bitters. Juice and bitters are the two things that turn your batch the most. So, I'll start with my kettle, I'll add that modifier, mix it together, make sure that that proportion is right. And then with the juice, I'll typically go about, let's say it calls for 3 liters of lemon juice in the batch. I'll take it to 2.5 liters. And then let's say it calls for 50 dashes of bitters. I'll take it to 75% of that. And then I'll let it sit just like that with, that much juice and that much bitters. Wait 10 minutes, taste that batch, and then adjust the lemon juice. Let it sit for another 10 minutes, and then taste that, and then adjust the bitters. And that way you can go back and then adjust the lemon juice again and adjust the bitters again. So I find that that's the very most like accurate way to do that. And that way you will get like kind of the most like closest to your single serve cocktail. Again, overnight things change a little bit as well. So if you anticipate that your batch is going to sit for several days, you may even want to take it a step further and add, that little bit and then wait for one night to pass and then taste it the next morning and then adjust your juice and bitters.
Yep.
So that's kind of like one way that I do it. And I do have this Excel file that I use for batching. If we could load it on the screen, it's super easy. And it looks dumb, like why would I do this for one cocktail? But let's say you're batching 10 different cocktails. You could just take this formula, post it all the way down 10 times, and then like adjust your, put in whatever. So we start with, I usually put the name of the cocktail at the top, and then a list of the ingredients that's in it, right? Ketel One, aquavit, apple syrup, lemon, and then soda. I'll put in my single specs. So for one cocktail, it's 1.5 ounces of the Ketel, 1/2 ounce of the aquavit, 1/2 ounce of apple syrup, 0.25 ounces of lemon juice, and then we finish it off with 1 ounce of soda. And I wanted 80 portions of this. So then it shows you in ounces. It's literally just taking that one column and multiplying it by the number that you enter into the number of, batches or like servings that you want. And then it will convert those ounces to liters. So, because, we use Ketel liters in the bar, I need 3.55 bottles of the Ketel 1 liter size. Let's say you have a bottle that doesn't come in liters, like the aquavit, we only got in 750 milliliter bottles. So then I just converted it to milliliters and then to 750 mil bottles. So I know I need 1.57 bottles of the aquavit. It's just an easy way to kind of look at it. But like I said, this is where I start. So I'll take this and I'll go, okay, in my batch, I'm just going to pour in my 3.55 liters of Ketel and my 1.18 liters or 1.57 750 mil bottles of the aquavit. I'll put in my apple syrup at 1.18 liters, and then I would probably do 0.4 liters of lemon and wait just to see what it tastes like. And then from there, I can add more lemon if I need. I actually did find in this batch in real life that I only needed it to be about 0.5 liters total. So it was way more acidic than I thought it would be. And therefore, I didn't use that last 0.09 of liters of lemon juice. So again,
is it because your apple syrup has like also citrus in it too?
It happened to be very tart apples when I made the syrup, as well as the lemons that we got happened to be much tarter than the ones that we had when I was doing that single serve like R&D spec.
Right.
So again, acid changes, your citrus will change over the season, and it will be sweeter, it will be, more acidic. And so therefore I just kind of had to adjust, and it was a good thing that I did, because it would have been way too tart if I had not. So yeah, like this is a super simple spreadsheet that I use, but it's very helpful when I have 10 cocktails that I'm trying to batch all in one day, just to have kind of like the map of it. Okay, so talking about lemons and their different citrusness, we should probably talk about citrus options. The thing about batching is, and like a to-go program, for us, we really had no idea how many people would be coming for the takeout cocktails when we first started doing it. It was so new, and we were like, are we going to get any customers? Are these cocktails just going to sit in the fridge for like days and nobody's going to buy them? Like, what's going to happen? Citrus, as you know, turns very quickly. I mean, it starts to turn overnight, even, 24 hours, and it tastes different. I would give, for us, we fresh juice in the bar every other day, like when we do, regular service. So the idea that a cocktail would sit with citrus for more than 2 days was like horrifying to me. It's really important to me that my customers get the very best, freshest, highest quality, most balanced, perfect cocktails, whether they're having it at my bar or in their home, having had a takeout. So, in my mind, putting citrus in the cocktail was not a possibility. The way that you can get around this, the way that we did, is in the cocktails that I did offer that required fresh citrus, we actually included in the little cocktail to go package like a piece of the fruit. So we had like a riff on a margarita, which required 1 ounce of lime juice. Instead of putting the lime juice in the cocktail, we actually included 2 whole limes with that, to go cocktail, with explicit instructions of how to squeeze it if you don't have a juicer, which sounds dumb, but
no,
some people don't know how to cut the lime right, or they cut it the wrong way and, the wrong direction. And also how much to include. So not assuming that everybody has a jigger at home, we said, we figure everybody at least has like a tablespoon. So 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce. So 2 tablespoons of lime juice, and then, include it, mix it together for your cocktail. So that's how we did the citrus. I've seen programs where they actually do batch the citrus into the cocktail. I have ordered those cocktails, and definitely the citrus has been turned. So I don't necessarily recommend that, but if you expect that your cocktails are going to fly out the door, that they're going to just go as soon as you bottle them up, do that. It's probably the easiest way. Another option is to not have any citrus in your cocktail at all. You can do this by doing stirred only, right? Manhattan style, martini style, those kind of cocktails as your program. You could also use alternative acids, citric, malic, lactic acid, whatever, like those powders, definitely. I never think they taste the same as a fresh lemon or a fresh lime juice, but it definitely is an option. You could do shrub only cocktails, which is kind of fun. You use a lot of shrubs in your bar. That's a good idea. So yeah, there's definitely ways around it, but you just kind of have to decide what's right for your program and how you want to include that component of it, keeping in mind that fresh lemon juice, fresh lime juice tends to turn pretty much after 24 hours. So keep that in mind, and decide how fast your cocktails go out. Obviously, the greatest situation would be if you have a bartender on duty at all times, and let's say you get a call in for a takeout cocktail, they make it as a single serve right there, bottle it up, and then boom, it goes out the door fresh as a daisy. But nobody can afford that kind of labor. And God bless you. Lucky you. Good on you.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing to consider for your takeout cocktails, I think, is dilution options. Nobody thinks about dilution options, right? I've seen cocktails in two styles. One, no dilution at all, because the bar has a lot of faith in its consumer to take that cocktail home and know what to do with it. Even if you include instructions, stir for 30 seconds over ice and then strain. How do you know what kind of ice they're stirring over? How do you know how much dilution is going to come from that ice? How do you know how fast their stir is? Do they know how to stir? Shake. Well, what kind of ice are they shaking with? How are they shaking? These things, I try not to leave too much in the hands of my consumers, not because I think they're dumb, but mostly because I just don't want them to have to worry about it. Also, I don't want them to get anything that's not less than perfect.
Mhm.
So I really thought about the dilution in my cocktails. And, the other style I forgot to mention, was people who fully dilute to the point where they want it, include it into the batch, and then let go and let God. But serving cocktail that is served over rocks. So they take this fully diluted cocktail, pour it over rocks, and what if the rocks are super wet and start melting immediately? Then they're getting an over diluted cocktail. It doesn't taste so good, and they're wondering, why does this bar suck so much? No, nobody wants that. So I really thought about all the different kinds of dilution and the different levels of dilution that you can include in a cocktail. And I would like to talk a little bit about that and what I did for my bar. So our to-go menu had a martini style cocktail, a Manhattan style cocktail. We had a margarita rip, and we had a gimlet rip, and a Bloody Mary, a mimosa, and a coffee, like a cold brew coffee cocktail. This covers the gambit of all the different dilution. For the martini and the Manhattan, for the martini and the Manhattan, we fully diluted those to the point that we wanted them. My martinis, I like between 19 and 20% of dilution.
Mm-hmm.
What this means, I'm just going to assume that not everybody knows what the percentage of dilution means. Let's say you have, so my martini, 2 ounces of beautiful Ketel One vodka, 1 ounce of dried vermouth, and a couple dashes of, we made our special bitters, which is like an olive bitters. I like my martinis at 19% dilution. So you take full cocktails, 3 ounces, right? So you take 3 ounces times the 19%, and you get 0.57. 0.57 ounces is the ounces of water that I want in my cocktail for it. That's the stirring that I'm doing. I'm chilling it, but I'm also putting in 0.5 ounces of water into the cocktail so that it comes out perfectly balanced. You taste every ingredient, but it's not watery.
Yep.
It's full flavor, but it's totally drinkable. It goes down easy. It tastes beautiful. You
Velvety.
taste the dry vermouth. It's amazing. So that's what I mean by percentage of dilution. So for the Manhattan and the martini I did at 19%. The Manhattan I did at 21% because I used an overproof rye, so it was a little punchier. I needed a little bit more water in there. And I packaged it with the water, and I put it, the instruction says, store in the freezer, pour into a glass as is, no ice. So those are the kind of things, like, you definitely want to write instructions on your cocktail packaging, like how you want it served.
Mm-hmm.
For the gimlet style cocktail, I left out the citrus, but I put in full dilution. So I figured out how much water I wanted in the cocktail with the citrus included, and I added that much water, but I left out the lime juice. And I said, squeeze this lime and add that much, keep in the freezer serve in a glass with no ice as is. For the margarita, I figured I want them to pour it over ice. I don't know what kind of ice they're going to use. So I'm just going to assume that it's like, regular house ice, not the best. And I took the dilution not to the 25%, which I like margaritas at 25% dilution. That's like when you serve it over the rocks, you're taking account for that. I took it to 18% dilution and figured that they're going to get the rest of that 7% when they pour it over their house ice at home.
Right.
So, like I said, it's a partial dilution, which I haven't seen many people do a partial dilution when they're serving cocktails that are meant to go over ice. But I think that this is an extra step that you can take for your program, which will set you apart from other, kind of to-go cocktail programs. It really makes a big difference, and it allows your margarita to be amazing, or whatever cocktail that you have on the rocks to be awesome and full flavor without being over watery.
The explicit directions are a really good move as well. Like I am doing a to-go, I am part of a to-go program that's in Chicago as well, and where the directions are really where it's key. Like take all the thought out of it. Really, that's just showing also one more investment into your people, into your guests.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a way to be in touch with your customer as you would if they were sitting in front of you at your bar. It's like your way of talking to them. Like, this is your cocktail that I lovingly made for you. I really missed you. This is how you do it so that you get the full enjoyment out of it. And get all the love that I meant for you to have out of it. It sounds cheesy, but I think it's really important.
Perfect.
Kind of be with our guests, So yeah, like the cold brew cocktail, I feel like cold brew is such a personal thing. People are very, religious about their cold brew, in my experience. So that one, I did not dilute at all. I said, this is a full strength cocktail. It is cold brew based. So please do what you love with it. You want water in it. You want almond milk in it. You want it over ice. You want to just put it in the fridge and drink it as is, as a shot, just to get that jolt of caffeine. Go ahead. So, but I really thought about the style of cocktail before I let that one go. That's like a lot of control for a person. But that's the sort of thing where people want that control. I feel like cold brew is like a very personal choice. So yeah, that's kind of like the full gambit of like dilution levels that you should probably think about when you decide what kind of like cocktails to do in your to-go program. All right. From there, we're going to move on to bottles. This is kind of a fun part, though. There's a couple different things to think about in bottling. What is the serving size of the to-go cocktail that you want to do? I've seen a lot of cocktails to go that are like serve 6 or serve 4. And they're, signature, cocktails for your program that are just bigger. And that's great, but it's like serves 4 and it's $50. I still think that price is kind of a big barrier to entry for somebody, in this Corona time. There's not a lot of money. A lot of people are, on unemployment, and, they still, may have a job, but it may be, a little bit less pay or whatever. People are trying to save money, right? Because we don't know what's happening. We don't know if we have to save for the future. So to spend $48 or $50 on one cocktail, even if it serves 4, seems a little daunting. Also, I like variety. So I'm looking at a cocktail menu. I would be like, I want one of that and one of that and one of that. And I want to put it in the fridge for when I feel like drinking. So I decided to go for, the signature cocktails, single serving size. But, for a 4-sizer, I would maybe do something like a classic martini that is perfectly batched in a bottle. You can put the whole bottle in your fridge. It's a classic, you'll reach for it all the time. A Negroni in a bottle, something like that would be great, larger scale. But yeah, for your house signature cocktails, I think a single serving is the way to go. But, again, you have to decide what's right for your program and what you really want to do. All All right, let's look at a bunch of bottling options. So I just kind of have a few slides of bottling options that I've seen that I think are really cute. This is a really fun way to kind of like put your bar out there. The bottle matters. So let's go to the first thing. Oh, sorry, go back to that thing. Sorry, I meant to say that during our batching part, I have this little slide, which is just a bunch of conversions that is kind of useful for when you are batching. I got this when I was a Tales of the Cocktail apprentice. It says no beer at the bottom because that was my nickname. They called me no beer because I didn't drink beer then, and I still kind of don't, but yeah. Because they used to give us laybacks of all kinds of booze, and I was like, you can layback me anything except for beer because I won't drink it. So I said that the first day, and then I got that as my nickname. But yeah, it's just kind of a cool table, which even converts dashes and drops and stuff like that. So, all right, on to the battling options. All right, here's kind of a smorgasbord of bottling options from a bar in LA called Thunderbolt. As you can see there, they are doing a mishmash of to-go vessels. They are doing pouches, they are doing cans, they are doing bottles, as well as frozen like Otter Pop slushy type things. This first slide just shows kind of a variety. Next one.
Have you tried the canned cocktails?
Yes.
And
I will speak to the canned situation. Yeah, so this is like kind of like your basic. We don't want to invest in buying, special packages or anything, but what does every bar or restaurant have around deli containers? In fact, Amy, Fanny, and I were just talking about how we all drink and eat from deli cups as our go-to. And so this is one option for a to-go cocktail. You can stick that sucker in a deli cup, pop a lid on it, write in masking tape if you want, a label for it, and call it a day. People are definitely doing that. I mean, it's fine in a pinch, and it works, but I don't know. There's more fun things out there. So next. All right, here we go. The mason jar. Obviously, mason jars we know and love. You can repurpose them to hold stuff. You can use it as a shaker. It looks cute. It's rustic. Yay.
Emphatic yay right there.
yay.
I mean, it's fine. You can, just pop the lid off and drink right from it. So you can use this as an option. I think it's great if it's an option for a cocktail that you want people to put ice into, because they could just unscrew it, pop some ice in, and drink it right from the thing. They're relatively inexpensive, and it's fun. Next.
I personally spill everything out of my mouth when I use a mason jar.
I don't know why. It's really hard to drink from.
It would not be my first choice.
Also, when I screw it on, I never get the seal quite right. So then I'm taking it and it's just leaking all over. But it's still cute.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something that my bar did. This is my martini. We used vacuum seal pouches. Okay, the vacuum sealers are pretty cheap on Amazon. We paid $80 for ours, and then you can order a roll of the pouches, and you could get a roll that will, depending on the size that you cut it, make anywhere from 100 to 200 bags. So I love this because it's space efficient. We did not have a lot of space in our fridges to hold all of the cocktails to go when we were doing just takeaway. So space efficiency was of the utmost importance.
Mm-hmm.
Having, bottles like this take up a lot of space, and therefore we wouldn't be able to store 50 of them in the fridge of each cocktail, because that's 500 cocktails. Mm-hmm. There's no way we would have that much room for all the bottles.
Right.
But if you look, what's fun about this is you can vacuum it and make little compartments in your one pouch. So With the martini, we wanted to include a twist because I'm not going to assume that everybody knows how to make a perfect twist at home and how to express a lemon. So why not include that? So the bottom part holds the martini, which is perfectly diluted. And then we sealed it. And then at the upper compartment, we vacuum sealed, because you can do vacuum seal or not, the lemon twist. So we figured it would, at least last a few days to a week in the freezer. And that way we just sold the whole thing as your to-go martini. Da-da-da. Beautiful. And it looks very cute. So the next option is, again, the pouch. Like, I'm a huge proponent of the pouch. And if you look there, you can even do, like, let's say we want to do a Ketel One mule. What you can do is, you see that little Schweppes can, you can buy little cans of ginger beer, and then you can make a very special Ketel One mule base with, let's say, a lemongrass syrup and and make it very cool. And then include with it that very little cute can of ginger beer or club soda or whatever, and do a dried garnish in the vacuum sealed pouch top, and it looks very cool. So again, you can even do, anything topped with soda or ginger beer or any soda flavor with your to-go cocktails as an addition, and it looks awesome. Next. All right. I like these pouches too. I hadn't seen those. They're like canteens almost, which, it's a nice little touch. This bar found these kind of pouches, which looks very cool. Again, you can suck it right from the pouch. Keep that in mind when you decide what style you put into the pouch. They also made beautiful labels, which, as you can see, gives it that kind of added benefit and that little nice touch, which gives a very impressive look. Also looks great on social media, which we will talk about next. Again, this is my bar. We did a gimlet. We, like I said, did not put acid into the situation. We included a lime with it. Next.
Cari, could I ask you an acid question? I know we've gone over that part, but as questions are coming through,
Yeah.
my own brain is going off too. Have you ever considered doing any of your own cordials? So mixing your acid and your whatever sugar it was going to be to preserve both and trying them in your cocktails?
Yeah.
Yes. I definitely meant to mention cordials and I totally forgot, but that is one of the options I meant to include as, like, an acidic option.
Mm-hmm.
If you do a lot of house-made cordials, definitely those kind of cocktails are a very good idea. I actually tend not to do cordials at my bar just because I don't particularly think the flavor pops as much as like a fresh lime juice. But I know bars that do great cordials. That's just not something that I was interested in doing. So. But yes, it is a great option, and any cocktail that uses a cordial, please, it's a great option for it to go. All right, back to the packages. I thought this was so cute.
They're like little huggies.
Yeah, it looks like fresh juice. It looks really arresting. If I saw that on social media, I'd be like, I kind of want that. Actually, I do kind of want that. I don't know what bar that is, but I would like to go get that cocktail. It looks like this cocktail style would be great for a thing that, is already fully juiced in there and ready to pop open and drink, fully diluted. So next slide. This I thought was very cute.
Ooh.
This is a little ice cream container that has a pina colada meant to be frozen. So any frozen style cocktail that you want to be in your freezer, it will come out a little bit slushy, and you could just like use a spoon or pop a big straw in there. I thought that was such a cute presentation because it looks like ice cream. Yeah, so that I thought was a great option for your frozen cocktails. And again, the all lovable Otter Pop frozen cocktails. There are these little bags online that are called Zipsicles that you can order on Amazon. They're so cheap, and that way you don't need to do the vacuum seal on it if you don't have a vacuum sealer. Again, you can buy a vacuum sealer for relatively cheap and cut your pouches to be that shape. So, but if you don't want to, Zipsicles online, I highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing a frozen, I will add, if you are doing a frozen cocktail like that, you definitely want to make sure that there is the correct amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
If there's too much alcohol and it's too much ABV, your cocktail will not freeze. So frozen to go otter poppy situations are really good for low ABV cocktails. Also very price friendly for a bar.
Mhm.
It tastes great and you can eat a lot of them.
Do you utilize a tool when you're making sure like it's freezing properly, like the Brix meter?
So at our bar, I would use a Brix meter to measure. You could buy those online
Mm-hmm.
as well. But it is, if you don't want to do that and that's too much like, that's a lot of thought for my bar. We don't really do stuff like that. It is pretty safe to assume that if you are doing like a spritzy type cocktail that only has like a modifier in it, like let's say Lillet or Saint Germain with some grapefruit juice and, something, it will freeze. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep that in mind. But if you're doing something with like a full 2 ounces of Ketel One, like, and Lillet on top of that, it's probably not going to freeze.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. Okay, the last slide of cocktail bottling options. So this bar I thought was so cute because they do two sizes, and this is their social media how they show it. It's like taste the rainbow. Like I was like, I want one of everyone because it looks great. Again, this is kind of a segue to the social media part, but I do want to talk about the can situation. If you remember that first slide, it showed these little baby cans, which are so cute.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do this, you definitely will have to either rent or borrow or buy a canning machine, which I think start at like $1,000. They're pretty expensive. And also, these little baby cans are still a full, I believe, 10 ounces. So it's kind of a big cocktail.
Yeah.
What it works well with, though, are carbonated cocktails that you are going to self carbonate, pour into your can. So a Ketel One and soda would be a great option for that can. But again, the cans and the canning machine are not cheap. So I don't know. But also the little bottle that you see there, that's another option for a carbonated cocktail. You can order those bottles online and you can carbonate your cocktail, pour it into there, seal it with that little bottle capper, which is not that expensive, and then have that as your carbonated cocktail. So the bottle and the can are both good options for carbonated cocktails if you don't want to do it where you have the base and then you just include like a little can of ginger beer, like if you make some cool tonic in your bar and you want that to be your Ketel One and tonic. So that's where you would need those bottles and those cans.
Mhm.
All right, where are we? Let's talk about. The very last two slides was how we did Bloody Mary and mimosas at my bar.
Mm-hmm.
So we make a dope Bloody Mary mix at our bar. People love it and know it well. We decided to just buy minis of vodka and then package the Bloody Mary mix separately, include a lemon because we like lemon juice in our Bloody Marys, and then tell people to pour it all over ice and enjoy at home. The mimosa, we served juice in a little mason jar with little split of champagne, so people could, enjoy it as they would at home. So that's just,
Cute.
All right. I would like to touch very quickly on pricing. So pricing a to-go cocktail program is a little different than pricing the way that I did it, just like at my bar. I am a very militant. I like a 14% pour cost, 14 to 16%. I may have a one-off that like would go up to 20%, but I'm kind of stingy. So 14 to 16% is kind of where my comfort zone was. For our to-go program. That totally changed. I was like, cool, everything at $12, regardless. The reason why, when people, like I said, are drinking at home, they want something cheaper. And I needed to move inventory because I'd rather get $12 for it and have it be at a 25% than sit in my liquor room and make nothing. As well as I feel like a $12 across the board is a pretty friendly pricing that people will look at and be like, yeah, I can afford that. And maybe I can get 2 or 3 of them. Typically, my cocktails are between $14 and $17 if you're sitting in my bar. Mm-hmm. But that's paying for, the ambiance, the labor at the bar, the cleaning of the, dishes and all of that if they're just taking it home, they're not really paying for. So just keep that in mind when you're pricing your cocktails to go. Friendlier pricing will move more cocktails, but it's within the comfort level of your bar program and what you like to do. All right, let's talk about marketing and social media. Social media and Instagram and Facebook and all of these things are the new interacting with your customer at your bar. I have never been a fan of, the whole influencer situation, but I feel like now everybody has to be an influencer, which in a good way gets rid of those unlegit influencers because we have like legit bartenders activating on social media, which I love. So it's very important that if you are doing a to-go program, you need to talk the heck out of your program online. How do people know to come and get it if they don't know that you're doing it? In that sense, the packaging you use, the bottles that you use are very important. This is an opportunity, though, where you can partner with brands like Ketel One and ask them for a little assistance. Mm-hmm. Let's say you are doing a cocktail with Ketel One at your bar. You want to do a very cool cocktail with, like in the vein of a Ketel One mule, right? It's going to be a very special Ketel One mule. It will have flavors that you put into it. It will have a cool syrup. It will have a cool juice, whatever. Maybe you can ask Ketel to donate a bunch of those very cool Ketel Mule mugs that they have. I've seen them. I love them. They're very cool. And say, hey, we want to do a Ketel Mule as a takeaway cocktail. Can you donate some Ketel Mule mugs so that everybody who orders one gets a free mule mug and they can build at home their Ketel Mule in the mule mug, post a picture of it on Instagram, tag our bar, tag Ketel, and perpetuate the love. So, that's one way that brands can get involved because brands definitely want to help bars right now. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
They don't know what bars need. They don't have money to just throw at bars anymore, but they do have a lot of POS. So ask for the POS. Guests love POS. We take it for granted because we get it a lot, but consumers at home don't. So to be able to get that into their hands as part of your to-go cocktail program is very compelling. A way to let them know that they get free stuff is to put it on social media.
Yep. Everybody loves free stuff.
Oh, yes.
Everybody.
I mean, I love free stuff, whatever, So that's a good way to kind of integrate brands with your program, integrate your consumers with brands, and everybody's a happy family. The labels matter, how it looks matters, how you write your instructions matters. All of these things matter. Your stories on your Instagram stories, your bar's Instagram stories, you could do a demo on how you want that specific cocktail to be made at home if there's like instructions, right? So my bar, we did a whole succession of Instagram stories on how to squeeze the limes if you don't have a squeezer, and measure it out and just combine the two over ice or up or however, So those kind of things is a way to, engage with your community, get more followers for your bar, and really put your cocktail program out there. So I have a few Instagram examples of bars that I think are doing it great. This is my bar, Big Bar. As you can see, we have a lot of things about to-go cocktails. The stories are often stories on the to-go cocktail. And then the next bar, Thunderbolt LA. They are doing an excellent job with their to-go program. Until recently, they were only doing to-go.
Mm-hmm.
They have food as well, but they are the ones that are doing all the different kinds, pouches, bottles, cans. So that's a very cool Instagram to look at as an example. Next is Hippo in Highland Park in LA. They are also doing a very robust to-go program. They also do dine-in, but their Instagram's really cool, and they do a lot of stories and things like that with to-goes. Next is I can't read my
Oh, that must have been the group that had the cute little buggies.
the little bottles. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
cool like packaging items, and
Okay.
their labels are so beautiful. So I thought that was worth a follow.
How did you choose your labels, Cari?
We decided to go quick and dirty. We just
Okay.
wanted our logo on it, and then I also wanted to do a personal touch where I wrote like what the cocktail name was by hand. And that way we could write a short note, if we know that it's going to a particular person or whatever, and say, hi, we miss you or whatever on it. So, but as long as our logo was on it.
Cool.
And yes, another program that's doing great to go, they show a lot of their cocktails from bottle to the glass and what it should look like and glass options.
Cool.
Nice.
And that might be it. Is that the last one? Yes.
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, social media, it's a fun way to engage with your customer. Remember, they don't see you anymore and they miss you and they want to see you. So putting yourself out there, your bar out there, and engaging with your consumer on social media, letting them know that you're doing cocktails for them and you want them to come in and take that cocktail to go and enjoy it at home. Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are a couple things that I thought are very important to consider when you're, deciding to do a takeout program, which I hope is helpful to anybody who's trying to decide should we do it or not. I do know that there are states out there who are not allowing, like cocktails to go and are only allowing bottles, like full bottles that are sealed up.
Are they generally allowed to send out mixers with the bottle?
Ding, ding, ding. So it is still possible to do a takeout program, even if you're not allowed to like make a special syrup and batch a cocktail and put it in a pouch and send it to go. If you are only allowed to do sealed bottles of things, you could still do cocktails. How you can do that? All right, for a hemplo, let's say I wanted to do a Ketel One mule again. So you could package up, and packaging matters, like the way that you package it matters. So you can package up a little 4-pack of this awesome Q ginger beer with the whole bottle of Ketel One and the Ketel Mules mugs that Ketel will so generously donate to your bar, in a cool little basket with a cool little ribbon, and charge, this is $60. Boom. You have a to-go cocktail packaged up. It looks beautiful. You can put that on social media. Your guests know that they come in and can grab this little package. You could also do a Ketel One Dirty Martini with a bottle of Ketel, a small bottle of Dirty Sue olive juice, and a little bottle of olives, and package that up with a beautiful bow. Boom. Customer knows they can come in and grab a Dirty Martini kit for $70, whatever. So those are ways to get around it. It's not, your signature house cocktail with your house-made syrup. But I think what you can do is, if you wanted to do that, package up in a little bottle your house-made syrup, instructions, tie it to the bottle of Ketel One, and present that as your cocktail. It's just a little bit more work for your guests, but it is a way to get around that rule of you can't sell a prepared cocktail. So that's an option for you if you're in a state that does not allow the actual preparation of the cocktail and the packaging of it.
Sure.
So that's kind of like all the stuff that I had. I don't know if there have been any questions, but if there are any, I'd like to.
We have another question about acidity, and I'm not sure if you've had experience with this because you didn't really touch on whether your team had canned cocktails. It sounds like you didn't. Have you played with canning cocktails before, and do you know how acidity is impacted within a canning process like that?
The canning process does not suck air out of anything. So just FYI, it's not going to preserve your cocktail. What the canning machine does is it literally takes your can, you pop the lid on, and it seals the lid onto it. So it doesn't really help with the preservation. So unfortunately, the reason why, with beer it works is because beer is actually like fermenting. And so they fill it to the very brim. And as it ferments, it pushes the air out. And therefore it is good for like, fresh for like a month. But for, your regular, just like margarita, it's not going to do that. Yeah. So it doesn't really help with preserving your acid.
Nice. Cool. Have you done any other tips on like personalizing to-go cocktails or packages? I know you were saying that you wrote little notes, but do you have any other ideas of things that have passed along or that you've seen that have been good practice for personalization of it?
Yeah, actually, it's really, there's been bars that I've seen that, let's say you're a tiki bar, right? And normally in your cocktail, you have like all of the things. You have a swizzle stick, you have an umbrella, you have like one of those cool little like flamingos that you like, have to unwrap and like whatever. And then you have like confetti and glitter and unicorn horns or whatever, right? So, I've seen tiki bars that if you buy one of their cocktails, it comes with this swizzle stick. It comes with that little like flamingo. It comes with a cool twisty straw and, just like everything that you would need to make it look like a cocktail that you would get in the bar, which I thought was so cute and so cool. And, like when I took all that stuff and put it in the cocktail at home, it's like, I feel like I'm on vacation. It really makes a difference instead of just like giving them the cocktail with no garnishes.
Yeah.
So fun garnishes, yeah. Whatever you normally would do at your bar, as much as you can put of your bar into that cocktail, is definitely the way that you want to do it. Anything else?
I think that's it we have from the audience right now. Fanny, did you have anything?
Nope, I didn't get anything else from the audience.
Well, if anybody has any questions on any of the stuff that I covered, I know I kind of like went through stuff pretty fast. I hope it was organized enough and you guys kind of could follow along. But like, if you have any questions on the specifics within those things, like if you have questions about batching or questions about dilution or questions about, pricing or what I mean when I say pour cost or any of that stuff, please reach out to me. My email is available for anybody. You can ask Lush Life for it and they have it. So I am open for, to give advice to anybody. And honestly, like doing it is scary because you don't know if it's going to sell or if people are going to come for it. But, I do think you got to try. You have to try everything in this world because we don't know what's going to work or not, or if things are going to change or what we're going to be allowed to do or not. So try or die,
Yep. You can't learn until you try it,
Exactly.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time out to join us for another Monday of marvelousness. Thank you, Cari, Amy, Ketel One, another round, another rally, and Portland Cocktail Week. Join us next week if you want your Mondays to be marvelous.